Okay. So we'll just go ahead now. Thanks everybody again for joining another month, October, of the Let's Connect webinar. We'll just go right into it, and I'll just do the introductions and housekeeping. So basically our aim at Let's Connect, it's a webinar series, and we are going to be 2 years next month. So it was launched as a digital platform created to have conversations, to build connections around, in this format, webinar sessions with entrepreneurs and professionals across various fields. We have connectors and typically subject matter experts with ourselves to discuss with everyone else on here right now and monthly on how to navigate the career and entrepreneurial landscape. We understand that we have a diverse group of people, so we look to cater to the people in corporates and on their entrepreneurial journey. We hope on that through this platform, we're able to impact for people to gain practical advice and insights from all of the conversations that we have, and we're able to share, exchange experiences, knowledge, advice, and just general day-to-day challenges around the things that we do or face. So we'll then go into the housekeeping. Or rather the format, sorry. It's an informal but structured panel discussion. So we have conversations that are, like we said, practical. It's an interactive webinar. We have polls, Q&A, and open discussions. So that's how the format of this session will go. It's 60 minutes. It runs for 60 minutes. We've been told that that's not enough, but typically it will be 60 minutes, and we hope that where required, we might just go over just a little bit. It starts at 6 p.m. South African time and 5 p.m. West African time. Discussions are typically facilitated by a moderator, and that's myself today. Housekeeping. We are social, so you can find us on the various social media platforms. Above all else, we are on YouTube. So at the end of every session, you can go on YouTube on our page, which is Let's Connect Web Series, and you can watch this session and all the previous sessions. Like I said, we are 23 months in, so you'll find videos that covers various topics, again, around career development, entrepreneurship journey, and things like that, things that we find useful for the audience that we have. It's streaming live on YouTube right now. We have a Q&A section, so we want you to please post your questions. We run the format of the webinar that allows for a Q&A part towards the end, so we make time out for it. The chat box is important to us. Again, we pride that, a lot of the conversations and the deep insights from you guys go on in there, so please share your thoughts. We will look into it and be able to add it to our conversation. And please participate in our web survey. It's at the end of the session. We will send the survey. It's important to us. That's how we are able to know what you guys want, and we're able to connect. Shout out to Bitech Africa for this platform, the webinar platform that we use, Ladybug Consulting for our domains. All the emails you get is from Ladybug Consulting. Thank you. Manual notes for the invites that you get also that comes through for each month. And our connectors, like I like to say, I think that we have a tribe, or we've grown a tribe of people that ride with us month on month. So thank you. Volunteers are welcome. We have social media and things like that we are trying to manage, and admin things. So if you're interested, please drop a note. So we'll just do our introductions of our connectors quickly. And I'll start with myself. My name is Sholabomi Oriagba. I am based in Lagos, Nigeria. So I'm sitting out of Lagos, Nigeria. I am a business executive, and I currently work in the energy and gas space. out of Lagos, Nigeria. It's an utilities, I work in a utilities company. I used to be in aviation. I'm still very passionate about aviation. I do a little bit of things around the aviation industry. So, but I like to see that, I like to describe it that there's a nexus between the utilities and aviation. It's all in the same space. I used to be, in my former life, an investment banker before I pivoted. And so, yeah, that's it about me. And I will pass it on to Coach Kanye, to introduce herself.
Good evening, everyone. So good to have you. Excited as always for another episode of Let's Connect. I'm currently load shedded. So because we're in Africa, anything is to be expected. So if you see me disappear off your screens, that's why. I'm on my backup power, and hopefully that lasts us through the session. Briefly, Kanye, I'm a consulting leader in a global consulting firm, doing really exciting projects around transformation. I also am a seasoned leadership and career coach. I take great pride in that. And I feel very strongly that it's my responsibility to help those who haven't had my journey, right? Convert my pain into wisdom for others. Also possess a wealth of experience in management consulting. That's my first passion, 17 years to be exact, at McKinsey & Co. And other consulting houses. And I have an MBA, postgrad in business administration, as well as a BSc degree. That's a bit about me. Nice to see you.
Okay, Don, our guest speaker today. You're on mute, Don.
Oh, I didn't know the part where I need to introduce myself. Okay, I'm Dan Mukosa. Very passionate about people, working with people. In fact, if I had a choice, all I would do is sit and talk to people and listen to their problems and see how we can navigate it, navigate our problems. I'm an executive who really focuses on strategic turnarounds. So I have a couple of clients where we're doing some transformation digitally and also operations improvement. And then I also have some clients who are multinationals where I'm coaching the executives, the C-suites, and the senior executives for the companies, and also individuals from people in corporate and entrepreneurs who I coach. That's really, really my passion. That's what I really love doing. On top of that, I'm a father of 4, and I pride myself in my family, and I love my family. In fact, the reason why I'm an entrepreneur is because of my family. It gave me time to spend time with my family. That's me.
Thank you so much, Don. So now we know our connectors, and we'll just dive right into it. Our topic today is about career crossroads. So what do you do when you're at a career crossroads? Again, I think this is one of those ones that we have the best people to talk about it. We have 2 coaches on the call. I don't know I feel like we should be paying for this, but again, we're grateful. Thank you, Don, for accepting. Coach Kanye, I have my pen and paper because I feel like I need to be taken away from this. So we're going to be talking about career crossroads. Well, as we were planning, we were talking about how diverse the topic was, but again, we were trying to listen to you guys. Thank you for the people that complete the feedback form. And we thought that this was a good topic that brings together a lot of the things that you guys have asked us to talk about. So we just wanted to, we'll start with the word cloud. Please use the mentimeter.com, follow the link, it's in the chat with the code. So if you click, go to menti.com and use the code, we'll appreciate if you please join in this word cloud. And the idea of what we want to take out of it is, help us navigate this conversation and steer it to what exactly you guys want us to talk about. Like I said, the topic is very wide, is very diverse. There are loads of areas to talk about, but we'll just start. And I'll start with Dawn. So as a coach, as someone who's been in your career life over 20 odd years, just around 20 years, what have you seen? And when people say that they're at a crossroads in their career, what does that conversation entail? What do you think that people are going through? What's the common theme around the crossroads in the career when people talk about that?
Okay, so from the coaching experience, I think if somebody has not been asked to coach because HR has asked them to do this coaching thing, this thing called coaching, almost, I would say probably 95% of the people will be centered around kind of what's their so what. And their so what is kind of what am I doing? Where am I supposed to be going? And how should I really take my journey where I'm supposed to be going? So you'll find that probably out of those 95% of the people I'm just talking about, kind of sort of who I coach, the conversation is always centered around what do I do next? What will be kind of the right step, or what should I focus on, or what qualification should I get, or how do I move forward? So when I think about kind of career crossroads, to me, two things stand out. There's like two parallels. So there's the first parallel which talks to, I'm not really sure what my purpose is, what my story is. I'm not really sure what I should really be doing. And am I really doing the right thing? Am I living this purposeful life? That's the first kind of parallel. Then the next one is one of those where somebody kind of, they think they've figured it out, but what is happening in the crossroad is that they just don't know how to pivot upwards or sideways, right? So they don't know what's the next step, but they are like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't know why I'm not moving forward, or I'm not going to this kind of end state I'm supposed to be going to. And generally the conversation gets centered around that. There might be a third one, which is kind of, I'm stagnant because, or I'm in this crossroad because I'm content and I'm not thinking beyond the contentment. But generally those won't necessarily come for coaching, because you find that somebody's content, they're happy. You know, I always tell people, you'd rather be happy than be right. So if you're happy and you're not right, it doesn't make a difference. I think your life is still fulfilling. But the first two would be the ones where they'll be like, okay, how could you help me navigate through the kind of the challenge, the stagnation or the crossroad I'm in, knowing very well my context? That would be my definition of kind of what my experience has been so far.
Yeah, before I go to Kanye, I just wanted, so as I thought about this topic, I find that a lot of conversations around crossroads have been on the back of the pandemic. And I don't know if it's just me. So there was a lot of introspection and, you know, people trying to find their purpose on the back of the whole pandemic and, you know, trying to maybe be more impactful or just live a happier life. Like Don said, if you want to be happy, all right. Maybe people are tending towards happy and just content. But yes, and I feel like it's on the back of the pandemic that a lot of these conversations are coming up. And I hope that we're able to support people as we go into this conversation. So Kanye, you also see all of the words coming up. They're around the things that we already figured we'll be discussing. But yes, what do you find that crossroad people think about when they're at the crossroads? What's going through people's mind? What are people trying to solve for?
So to add to, because I echo a lot of what Dan has said, to add to the conversation, I see a lot of people who are saying there's no alignment between what I'm doing today and what I'm passionate about and what I'd love to be doing more of. So how do I bring those two together, right? Maybe there's a decision I need to make. Maybe I need to make different choices, etc. So that's the one thing that I'd add to that career crossroad. And you know, you're forced to question what's happening for you. And an additional one to what you've just shared, very much closely linked to what you've just shared, Chola, around reflection, right? And the great resignation and you know, factors that are influencing some of that, where people are reassessing their lives. They're saying, I'm a dynamic human being. I don't want to do just one thing. How do I pivot? How do I add? How do I subtract? How do I create this really interesting mix of things that I could be bringing into my portfolio as I progress in my own journey on this planet as a human, as a professional, as an entrepreneur, and some people are also thinking about entrepreneurship. So that happened for me, where I realized that there's so many things. I'm multifaceted. There are many things that stimulate me as a human. So therefore, I don't feel like doing just one thing is enough. How do I incorporate that? And what are some of the tricks, tips, things I'm seeing or people can add to on my journey, and leveraging that village as you walk this path, yeah?
Thanks, Kanye. I think at this point, we'll jump into a very typical coaching question. And again, and it comes on the back of what Dawn said. It's, how do I find my purpose? So when you've reflected, and I know that this is something that we talk about a lot and it comes up a lot. So for you to know if you're to move forward, move upward, or move sideways, you need to know what you want. What are those things that typically people should be looking for, or so rather, when you're trying to find your purpose, how do we talk to people to know, glean and come to a place that, am I content with where I am, or do I want to move forward, move sideways? Please, Dawn, if you'll please share.
Okay. So Shola, the question around purpose, I mean, I can talk to it about the whole day. Like, I mean, this is one of those crazy topics because there's like 2-3 ways of looking at it, but let's just simplify it, right? One of my mentors, I also get mentored, I've got 4 mentors. We had this conversation where I was on this journey where I was looking for a purpose. And part of actually me living corporate was I'm trying to live a purposeful life and trying to look at my life in a way that if I had 7 days to live, what would I focus on? And am I focusing on it right now? And 2 weeks ago, I met my mentor and they told me, you know, 3 years down the line, 3.5 years after you left corporate, you're actually living that life which you told me about at that time when you're living, where you only focus on the things which actually really matter. And the things which don't actually matter, or the small little things come later, as opposed to making the big things really stand out. So what I'm saying is that I think you living your purposeful life is making sure that at any given point in time, you are available, you are focused, and you apply yourself in a way that you generate impact. Because what happens is that people go through this journey where they look for purpose, they go to the Himalayas, they go and do all the nice transformation coach, but you still don't find it. But you find it if at any given point you are present and applying yourself. So you bring the best form of yourself to what you do. Now that's a simplified version of it, right? If I come and say, now let's bring some academia to it and come and say, but what does that mean? Well, a purpose is you finding what you're really good at, understanding what you're really good at, and trying to figure out how you could actually apply what you're really good at. Generally, most purposes are centered around saving. You're saving something, you're saving people something. You might be good at selling, it might be good at, I don't know, academia, whatever it is, but you find something where it's your niche and you're really good at, and you generally, from your upbringing, you hear people come and tell you, you're really good at this, but we tend to ignore it and we follow the academia route. Right? So we go to the academia and when we come and say, this is what my purpose is. So I'll tell you, I trained as an engineer, and I trained as an engineer because my dad taught me to train as an engineer. But I think my days as an engineer were, out of my 20 years experience, was probably the first 6.5 years. After that, I started finding things which really resonate with me, which talk to me. So I think one of the first journeys about, maybe let me give you the 2-step process. You need to first define what success is for you in life. And then you need to figure out how do you get to that success? Between those two, you will find how you apply yourself to live a purposeful life.
Thanks, John. Thanks again. So I like the word cloud. So a lot of things jumping out at me, but for Kanye, so I know Kanye speaks a lot around living a purposeful life, finding your purpose, and that's why she's there, because coaching and mentoring. This is what she's passionate about. I want you to please, on the back of what Donna said, is the concepts of fear and comfort zone. So you are where we've gotten to the point where you're clear that you're a crossroads, but the old concept of moving forward or moving to the next steps because of fear. I know we spoke around fear, and I see comfort zone in the word cloud, and so I think that we are able to fuse that together and speak to people being able to move out of that, move forward from the crossroad, ahead of fear and out of their comfort zone.
So I'll start off by just an articulation for myself when I think about fear in relation to my purpose, right? I think we've all heard of Ikigai, or at least the concept makes sense to some of us. What am I good at? What am I passionate about? What's the world prepared to pay for? Where those things intersect is I think it's a Japanese concept around happiness, right? Living a happy life. So for me, joy also comes into it. And when you're not joyful, the clarity is maybe where you need to be focusing. And I'll use another example or analogy. So when I do career coaching work, the biggest thing I ask people to think through is, what are you uniquely gifted at? What are you good at? And we do a whole assessment, right? Because a lot of people don't even know what's uniquely me and what value do I bring. The second thing is around what are people saying I'm good at? Just because I'm good at something, it doesn't mean that there's an appreciation for it, right? And so in appreciating what people see that I don't see, what I think I'm good at, and lastly, what is this thing that I excel at and I can take to the world, you're able to start appreciating yourself a little bit differently. Because I think a lot of the doubt sits in, and we've spoken about imposter syndrome, I think, and everyone continues to talk about it. The thing about doubt is there's a belief or a perception that you're not good enough for whatever reason. And if you can get your head around that, it starts encouraging a process of thinking about things that is not limited. And you have a growth mindset that says there's a baseline and I can grow in whatever direction that I need to grow in. So if we go back to the whole notion of, and what am I fearing? Why can't I do this? Why can't I walk this path? Why am I at a crossroad and feeling stuck? And what is it that's deterring or holding me back? I think there's a question there that people need to be mindful of as they process doubt and fear and confidence. I was talking about this the other day. For me, it's about not fake it until you make it. It's about do it until you are it, because the repetition is going to result in, in a growth and a trust and a self-trust in your abilities. And therefore you can try things and you will fail. Okay, but you'll grow from the experience and become better, all the better for it. And then the notion of comfort zone. The reality is, I think we're all gifted differently and we're all, driven by different things. So if you find yourself in a comfort zone, in all likelihood, there's a reason why. And it may be a life stage or a journey, a point in the journey where you're feeling like you need that stillness, because I've been there, where I needed stillness and I needed the noise to stop in my head so that I could focus and look, and be deliberate about what I do next. So it could be points in the journey where you have to be still, right? And there's a reason why you're in that comfort zone. But if you're starting to feel uncomfortable, there's a level of this doesn't feel right. And again, it's a big energy thing. I'm a big energy person. If I'm not feeling inspired, if I'm not feeling like this is adding anything to me or my journey, and I'm not feeling like this is going to make a difference to the world, I think the intent is to make a difference to those around me. So I always feel like if you're in a comfort zone and you recognize it, it means it's time to do something about it.
Thanks, Kanye. John, did you want to say something?
So
Okay,
a
yes.
couple of things, right? I'm gonna make them quick. So first one, maybe just some principles. Actually, let me make them principles, 3 principles. The first one, I believe you shouldn't be scared of fear. You should be terrified of regret. So you shouldn't be scared of failure, but you should be terrified of regret. Like, this is one of the principles I live in, that you regret the opportunity. What if I could have? What if I can? What if I could actually move on beyond that? That's the first one. The second principle, nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take the risk. Everything which is going to be worthwhile, you have to take some form of risk. You have to take some form of leap of faith and really try to say, look, how do I get to a stage where I've gone beyond where I am? And I know that the fear of failure is what prevents us from doing anything. Like, it really gets us into a position where all we think about is what if it fails. So the third probably principle I want to add on kind of what Kanye is saying is aspiration. So I have this simple equation in my head. I know it might not be simple, but I always simplify them in my head. Aspiration creates desire. Desire creates excitement. Excitement creates energy. Energy creates action. Actions create results. So what I say is that if you don't aspire, so when you're comfortable and you're in a comfort zone, you're not doing anything, you are actually have decided not to get results in what you do. So maybe to end the conversation, again, another simple equation. Your outcomes of any scenario are equal to the response and the incidence. So the incidence, you're working in the same environment, same atmosphere, same whatever, but your response can change the outcome. What we tend to do is we get into this comfort zone, we're comfortable, and we're not doing anything. So if you want to change your outcome, start by changing your response to a situation.
Thanks, Don. I think I also forgot to mention at the beginning that Kanye is a consultant and Don was an internal consultant. So there'll be a lot of principles and frameworks going on here. But yeah.
Why does Kanye get called Coach Kanye and I don't get called Coach Dan?
You are definitely Executive Coach Don. Thank you. But no, I feel like it's just very important for us to appreciate the wealth of knowledge that this conversation is bringing to the fore. And again, we have to appreciate you guys. I need to talk about, so just to go into the next bit of the conversation, because there is the talking and we have to also talk, be practical. For my self, I know that I've been at that point where I was stuck, or rather I was at a crossroads. And what I did was, and again, for me, in my situation, I guess comfort zone is that debt credit alert I get at the end of every month. So the fear of losing that is what we talk about when we say fear, and the comfort zone is, just 30 days make a pay kind of approach. But removing myself from that comfort zone and taking away the fear and taking that decision to leave employment, to take time out to re-strategize and figure it out was very useful for me. I don't know that, that contentment that we talk, it's easy for people to take that time out to figure it out. A lot of people will figure it out on while they're where they are, and all well and good. Like Kanye said, she needed the quiet and the calm to clear her head and find her purpose. I don't particularly know that I found my purpose, but at least I took time to know what I wanted to do and what would make me happy. So for practicality of this conversation, and I know Don has kind of spoken around it. So in finding your purpose and what the next steps are, what are those things that people need to do? And Kanye also spoke around it. I know that we spoke around the first step being introspective, finding what your what your happy is, what success means to you. But around that concept, and I know that there are a lot of concepts in the coaching world around what those practical steps are around finding your purpose or knowing your next steps. And also, can we, if you can please, Dawn, speak to those practical steps and how you guide people into getting into their purpose.
Okay.
On finding their why, like we say.
Okay, since you don't like frameworks, I'm going to try to simplify it.
We love frameworks. Ready to write.
Okay.
I missed the one where you said, because it was like multi-layered earlier. When you find it went on and on. I couldn't even write
which
it.
One? The one about aspiration. I can repeat
aspiration.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you want me to repeat that? I said aspiration creates desire.
Yeah.
So slowly this time. Aspiration creates desire. Desire creates excitement. Excitement creates energy. Energy creates actions. Action creates results. So from a coaching perspective is that it always starts with a dream. And let's go back to kind of how we're defining the purpose. One of the simplest way of defining the purpose is probably you doing a self-reflection. There's a self-realization. You need to do a self-awareness of kind of what makes you tick. And I don't want to probably go into the religious aspect where we start talking about being filled with the Holy Spirit and all those good things, but to just come and say that, how do you get to a stage where you can visualize what success is for you? My simplest version of what I do with people is that there's something called the wheel of life, and I take them through an exercise where they kind of try to figure out what success would be in the wheel of life in the bucket. So there's different buckets: career, finance, relationship, family, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole another framework. But what I do is I tell them, I want you to daydream on what success looks like, right? So let's find out where you're going. So that's what the whole thing about the purpose. Let's find out where you want to end. Then I'll give them a steep kind of achievement they want to achieve. So don't come and tell me your purpose is to just go about paying bills. Good for you. Then you don't really need an intervention for that. You don't need a coach for that. But come and tell me that you want a purpose where somebody will pay you $2-3 million an annum. So something which we just can't conceptualize right now. And I come and say, once we understand that, can we define that in greater details based on what you think you should be selling? So I go to through this exercise, which I call people have to generate their value proposition. And the way you generate a value proposition, you look at three things. What's your ethos and your beliefs? That's number one. Number two, what is your big numbers? What are the things which represent you and you've actually achieved? And number three, what gives you credibility to those big numbers? So you kind of create your own platform like a company. You have your own project. By the way, I believe everyone is whatever name PTY Limited, and we invoice our companies every month and we get paid the salary. So if you see yourself as a brand in that context, the question is, what is your profile? And what is it you are able to achieve and save, and you're able to save very, very well? So the biggest challenge people face when they're finding their purpose is this: what exactly are they meant to be doing? What have they actually done and achieved? And that's where the big numbers come in to say, let's look at your big number. And your big numbers are quantitative things around what you've achieved, how much engagements you've been involved in, what kind of sizes of teams you've worked in, what recognitions you've gotten, the value you've achieved, and all those nice good things which come and quantify what your difference or impact has been on earth, right? So in doing that, there's two things that I want to close out with, maybe, and give it to Kanye. So the first part is where there's self-realization to come and say, am I really asking the right question about myself? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be able to actually achieve what I think I should be achieving? And then there's an aspect where you come and say, now that I've figured out kind of what that would look like, can I map out a journey map? I call it a journey map to get in there. What's the end state? And can I look at it in hindsight and come and say, what experiences, what networks, what conversations would I have had to get me where I am? And that to me gives me a complete, roundabout way of how to determine where you're going when it comes to purpose. But like I said, going to the simple definition I gave at the initial way to say, if you're present at any given time and you're applying yourself in a very impactful way, you're living a purposeful life. You won't find it anywhere. You can go to Himalayas and go and spend time by yourself. You still come back to, actually, am I applying myself? And you realize people who are stagnant at work are not applying, they're not bringing the best of themselves at work. Moment of silence.
Okay, no, it was frozen for a second. John, very,
okay.
very, again, like I said, I feel like this should be a paid session. But again, I think we've had this conversation before around purpose and pay. Does it? And I love how you define purpose and, wherever you go. I think the best people are those ones that, I guess maybe those entrepreneurs that create something impactful and are making money out of it, those innovators, the best type of purpose I want. But yes, Kanye, I know that John has highlighted those what to do to find your purpose. And again, to move the conversation forward a bit, when you do find your purpose, so if it's you want to pivot or you want to move up, sideways, when you find your purpose, what's next? So what do we do once you're clear on what your purpose is? Again, for me, the way I think it is, now I know what I want to do. So do I sit and then, or what do I do? So it's all of that conversations we've always had, work, mentors, coach, just generally what's next? How do I move forward? How do I implement?
I just wanted to add an additional thought to what to do when you are stuck, right? Or you hit that crossroad. I think the first most important step is to acknowledge it, because what we do is we're not able to be deliberate because we're not acknowledging what exactly is going on for you. So acknowledge it. It's happening. I'm stuck and I need to do something about it. And there are multiple things you can do thereafter, right? And then obviously the purpose conversation, I think, has been aptly covered. One of those things I believe in is a concept called, simply put, highest point of contribution. But in essence, it's around when are you in flow? Let me put this in simple terms. When you have capacity and ability to do something and the stretch to do that, where those two intersect, right? You're feeling challenged, you are doing something meaningful and purposeful, where those two things meet is called flow, right? So when are you in flow state? And one of the easiest ways I've been able to determine when people are in flow state is to ask them to keep an energy journal. And we all know this. When are you feeling good? When are you not feeling good? What kinds of things are you doing that fuel you? What are some of those things? You can even ask your family members, when have you seen me at my most content, right? And some of those things are articulating an answer for you on your own personal journey of what to do next. And to better articulate that for yourself, you need to log that somewhere so that you have a reference point to go back to, because a lot of us don't know. And once you've figured out what that thing is, or for me, there are many, right? I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a management consultant, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I do a few things, right? And they all fuel me in different ways and they inspire different parts of me. So what is it for you that uniquely is yours and therefore you can bring to the world? And then you'll go through a detailed process of, okay, now that I know these things about myself, I'm currently here. What is the desired state, right? And Dan spoke about ambition. So what is the desired state? Is it a multiple of things? Is it one thing at a time? Whatever that looks like, you then go through a process. And I don't want to sound theoretical because we want steps that people can action on, on their own. So what are the three things maybe? Prioritize. What are the three things that fuel me and I want to explore a little bit further? Do I need to go find networks of people who are going to help me grow in that space? Do I want to get a mentor? I've had people reach out to me and say, actually, I've seen you on Let's Connect. There's a few things that made sense. Can we have a conversation, right? So who are those people? I believe in a village, guys. There's a village around you and they've been placed around you for a reason. What are you going to do with that village to help propel you from where you are today to that future state, right? Whatever that looks like. And then I think consistency is going to be the key. Now that you know what you want to do, have deliberate steps you're going to take and track yourself. Accountability partners, I call them the unofficial board. I'm big on an unofficial board. I see myself as a business, and the business needs to generate revenue and remain profitable and viable. So what does it need to run? It needs an accountant, it needs a lawyer, it needs a strategist, and so forth. So you need to see yourself as a business. And what are those key advisors that are going to help you and keep you accountable? Because that accountability partner is absolutely everything if you're going to realize and achieve.
Thank you, Kanye. Thank you. We are running out of time, so we will go into Q&A. But just as we go into Q&A, Don, there was something you did speak about, and it was, I just want you to tie it together. So time, stagnation, and aspiration. So my definition of stagnation does not, sometimes I don't know that is, it has to be tied to aspiration. It might just be the unique situation that you are in, where you are. And so just for clarity, is it always tied to aspiration? Are you stagnant because you're not aspiring? Just put a little bit of color to that, and then we'll go into Q&A.
Okay, so let me define simple terms, maybe two ways of stagnation. So there's stagnation where physically, from a career perspective, you're not pivoting upwards or sideways, right? And then the stagnation where it's not about the physicalness, but it's more about the circumstance where you actually feel trapped to not know where you need to go next because your environment, your manager, your paycheck, something is actually put you in a position where you feel the next step is not clear. You don't really know, and you don't really see where you're going to go with it. So what tends to happen in general is this, right? Once you get to that stage, your self-esteem or your confidence goes down. So what you do is you kind of sort of run with the flow and you kind of give up, and then you even let things happen. What you think is that I'm gonna work hard and somebody's gonna promote me or recognize me. And it doesn't happen like that. And the topic comes around when it comes to the corporate politics, and we can talk to it later, which will end up doing you instead of you doing the corporate politics, as an event sportsman would say. But then what happens is that the reason why the aspiration to me is a starting point is that if you start looking at yourself as a thought leader in your organization, you realize your organization is full of opportunities. So it's full of opportunities, work people don't want to do, work which is challenging, people avoid, and work which needs to be happening, which people didn't come. And you need the sustainability, the energy to drive and take the opportunity. So if I was to come and say, where do these things meet? Well, they meet at the fact that when you're stagnant, it's because you don't grab the opportunities in your organization. You've decided to be on the side where you watch and see, and sometimes even get to a stage where you complain. So you know there's something better, but you don't risk it. While when you aspire, you look at the opportunities, and in psychology, as we say it, when you focus on the problem, you generate more problems. You don't generate any solution. So focus on the opportunity so that you can generate the solutions. So that thing, that mindset, that excitement, that energy needs to come from you wanting to have the desire. I want to move forward. I am hungry to move forward. I'm gonna end it on this. I've been the privilege to work with Solar, and I sit on the board where Solar works, and I got to deal with one of these Nigerian millionaires. I'm very unfortunate to actually work with them. I'm not gonna mention who they are. They told me something very interesting. The reason I'm telling the story is this, right? That person told me that every time you refuse to ask for help, you have rejected yourself before giving anyone a chance. So every time you've refused to ask for an opportunity, you've refused to reach out to people, you are saying no to yourself before allowing other people. And they were telling me, at least as a minimum, don't say no to yourself. Ask and see where it actually takes you. I want to end it there.
Yeah, it's a mindset thing. But yes, thanks, Don. So we'll just go into the Q&A quickly. I feel like a lot of the things in the Q&A are centered around things that we've spoken about, but I will just let us, pick on it as go over it as required. The first one, I'll give it to Kanye because second one, I think, yeah. So first question, what do I need to do tomorrow to help me decide which direction I must go? So again, it speaks to what you already spoke around, but I'll let you give a direct answer to the person who's asked.
Starting point is you are in control of your abilities. Okay, I think people want to outsource that and waiting for someone to affirm you or confirm or what have you. So the starting point is let's be clear, you are in control here as far as possible in terms of the choices you need to make for your own journey. Secondly, we've spoken about this, purpose, clarity. Why am I here? What value am I meant to bring? And for some people, it takes time to discover it. And I've shared some thoughts on how you can assess for it, right? Ask people you trust, people who have your best interest, what you excel at, what they're seeing as potential. And if there's an alignment between yourself and what you perceive to be your future and your values and alignment to your purpose, maybe there's an opportunity there for you to explore that. So I would say do an assessment of sorts, very basic assessment of where you are and where you want to be, and align that to your purpose. And then lastly, I want to say, again, please leverage the people around you. Once you've recognized the thing you want to be doing, tap into them and you'll be surprised. Some people will say no, a lot of people will say yes, and they'll support you on that journey and keep you accountable. That unofficial board, create an unofficial board.
Yes, accountability, very, very, very important. Thank you, Kanye. Second one, done, is exactly to your last point. Second question. So I've been in my current position for the last 7 years with no growth. Everyone around me is growing. I feel left behind. What would you advise I do to grow? So I know you've spoken about aspiration in that way, but please bring it home for someone who needs practical. What do I do? Advice
So
in a kind. In a cushioned way.
Pragmatic way.
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
So to me, I don't know your situation, but I would recommend two things. First of all, build on what Kanye says. Please get a mentor. Get somebody who's gonna sponsor you, who's gonna be your cheerleader in your organization. Go to the most senior person you look up to tomorrow, write them an email and say, please, can you mentor me? 8 out of 10 times they will say yes. You'll be shocked to find out how lonely and desperate people up there want to tell you how to live your life. Like, you'll be shocked. Just give it a try. Like, everyone should just try this and maybe let's connect feedback to next time. Yeah, even the group, if it's a multinational in America or wherever it is, just say, I look up to you and I want you to be my mentor. Can you help me? The reason why is that in that conversation you're gonna have with that person, you will be shocked how they'll tell you how you could move from where you are to where they are, because you need to just challenge them and say, I want to be who you are. That's kind of sort of, to me, the first kind of opportunity. Shola, why are you laughing?
No, because I'm going to add something to it when you're done.
Okay.
But please go on. I'm still laughing at what you said at the start.
By the way, I did that to one person, and I see that somehow they are in here. So I'm also very careful.
Okay.
They're in the conversation. So I'm actually shocked to see them in the chat. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to mention their names. Then the second one, what I would really look at is what opportunity do I have to grow out of where I am? And this is practically what I'm saying is, how could you have interest to do something else? Get a project which no one is taking. I was explaining yesterday to the ladies to say, guys, there is no company which generates infinite amount of profit. So there's infinite amount of opportunities for everyone to participate and get to C-suite. It's just that we are waiting for somebody to tell us. So the next practical step is look at your business, look at the business plan, the burning platform in your business, and try to figure out what value can you add. And can you put that work in front of people, your suggestions, your ideas, your views in front of people, so that they can see that you can think beyond your current role or your current, responsibility. Those would be the two actions I would recommend.
Yeah, Don. So why I was laughing was, number one, the first point where you said you'll be surprised how much people at the top want to tell you how to run your life. That's very interesting. That I found that funny. But again, to your point, and it's interesting that it's something that it's a concept or something that is known, because where someone comes to tell you that I look up to you, I love what you do, I love how you do what you do, and I just want to be like you, so please, I need your support. Not necessarily asking to be a mentor, but I want to be like you. You will go over and beyond to support that person. Or, and the second example I have is someone who's put themselves forward for a project, and committing that I will do my best. You're not clear that he has the competency, but you put his name forward. You will also put in everything to support that person to make sure that they do not fail. So to Kanye's point, your village, leverage with people around you. To Don's point, I've never thought about it in that way. Now I almost feel used, but yeah, but it's worked really. But yeah, okay. Next question. We'll just go through this quickly. I'm currently unemployed and I cannot find a job in my field. I am an accountant. I'm thinking of changing jobs and going into digital marketing, but I feel I am inexperienced. So that's the pivoting bit as well. Can you please, if you'd like to?
Yeah, I think that's, so you're welcome to reach out to me anonymous and we can have a broader conversation. We'll try get, a view on it because it might help other people, but I'm happy for you to reach out to me. Your post webinar survey will give you my details. But in essence, I think one of the big things, and this is underrated, but still relevant, if you have no opportunity to work, why don't you volunteer? There are many organizations. I've had people say to me, I'm happy to help you in whatever way. In return, please coach me or whatever. And I'm not putting that out there, guys. That's not what I'm offering. But I'm saying people have done that as an opportunity for them to grow experience. And there's no better gift that you can give someone than of yourself. And now there's an opportunity for you to showcase your skills. There's an opportunity for you to show how you can add value and so forth. But you also have access. Doors can be opened through that. And all you had to do was put your hand up and say, how can I help you? I think that's one way of doing it. The second, you mentioned that you're trying to change a career, right? Or at least focus. So I would want to know a little bit more about the why and therefore what next steps are important for you. Maybe you're trying to do more than one thing, and that's also okay. But I think focus will help you develop something strong that you can then add to, right? Because I do think you need to have something that you are bringing to the table. So it is important to get some experience and exposure first. And then lastly, I think network. I cannot say that enough. Every opportunity you can get to talk to people about what they do, be interested in what they're doing, and maybe there's an angle there for you to take.
Can I add on the network? I don't know who asked the question, but I'm gonna put two people on the spot. Lebohang and Nachanza are digital marketing experts. Please reach out to them, DM them on the what is it? I can see them. Nachanza even wrote their digital marketing and Lebohang sent the last message. I know them very well, so reach out to them and see how the network works. At least get guidance and get to hear what it entails and what it means, because they're actually executives in those areas.
Thanks, Don. So you guys don't ever say we didn't do anything for you. Next question. What if my aspirations do not meet my current skill set? I think that one will except someone has something to add. I know Don had also spoken around, what next? If it's qualifications that you need to get or upskill, there's a lot of resources out there. And also just meeting people. So like digital marketing, and if the person who was interested in digital marketing didn't have the skill set. So talking to people around what quick certifications you need to do. There's a lot of resources. I've found people that have moved abroad and started IT work on the back of learning from YouTube. and they've gotten the job and, doing things. So again, there is a lot of resources out there that will support that. I don't know if anyone had something to add to that.
I do, just briefly.
Yes, please, go on.
So the thing is about aspiration is it could be career, professionally linked, it could be entrepreneurial, it could be many other things. I think what you want to think about is how you leverage your network, right? And what I love about where I work is they're different people with different skill sets, and I don't have to be good at everything. So if there's an aspiration that I have, but I don't have the current skill set, maybe I can partner or collaborate or think about opportunities of realizing that aspiration in a way that's not necessarily linked to me needing to have that skill set.
Thanks, Kanye. Thanks. Yes, that's an angle because it doesn't have to be career-wise. It could be pivoting. But next question, I'm at a crossroads. I feel uninspired by the work that I currently do, though I feel this work could help other people in the future if I can grow myself into it. The issue is that I feel limited in my current role, and there is no appreciation for this skill, analytics, because people don't understand it yet. So right now, Dawn, if you want to please take that. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
first of all, 50% of our business in our company comes from analytics. There's a lot of money in analytics. Digital and advanced analytics is like crazy out there. Obviously, you have to talk to the right people, the right agency. A lot of people will tell you how it doesn't really matter, it doesn't make a difference. But there's an aspect where, first of all, it's big money. You have to be in the right field. If you're not in the right field, yes, people might not appreciate it. But maybe just to take it a step back and really come and say, look, okay, what exactly do you do? And hence I use that whole analogy of that infinity kind of profit, because to me, it opens the minds up to come and say, what are the things? So how do you apply? If you're really good at that analytics, how can you build the application to the company to start generating value? Because you can't come and say people don't appreciate it, but you haven't generated any value. Everything which is new gets resisted. Only babies love change, if you get what I'm saying. No one else loves change. The other ones, when they are wet, they want to be changed. So by default, we all say no to change, and it will start from there. So what happens is that if you want to do an influence, and this is another topic just around how do you influence people, you need to show some value. What about your industry? Have you Googled how does data analytics help your industry? And have you put some white paper together? Some white paper is an opinion paper which comes and says, hey boss, hey CEO, I have thought about if we invest in this, invest in this tool, and we go and we get the McKinsey numbers, can you know about them? We can save you 10% efficiency immediately from your analytics. What is that of them, and how are you really making it feasible? I'm one person, another principle I talk to people about when they talk about career moving: don't run away from something, run towards something, have something to go towards to. If you keep running away, you will never stop. And in fact, you'll find that people pull you and you always follow the crowd. So run towards something. So don't just run because of analytics. What you do is try to see how do you generate value when it comes to analytics, because guys, there's a lot of requirement for fact-based decisions out there. In fact, what makes superstar CEOs and executives, and I coach quite a lot of them, is them knowing their numbers. That's why CFOs and CAs mostly are the most MDs and CEOs in the world.
So
thanks,
know your
Dawn.
boss's agenda. Know your boss's agenda and use analytics to serve that agenda. What I'm hearing.
Correct. And I think also, just to add to that, if there is no clear path, right, or of finding a way out right now, the question clearly spoke to it be a requirement later. So the concept of delayed gratification, I think that also needs to be, so where you know that it will come to use later, you might not be earning enough or be happy right now. There is that whole concept of delayed gratification that allows you ride the wave and then get your gratification at the end. So hopefully you're able to ride the wave and get to the point where you find your joy. The quick one for Kanye, what is the simplest way of identifying what's purpose in life? We already spoke to it, but one clear sentence that, take away.
The reality is our purpose is strongly linked to how we present and show up, and it's multi-layered, right? It could be a religious slant, and Dan spoke to it quite a bit. It could be a values, it could be how you were brought up and so forth. But in essence, the purpose for me is where you do something without effort, you're good at it, you enjoy it, you love it. And for you to get clarity on what that is would be the easiest way to figure out what your purpose is in life. So I think I've alluded to it earlier. Ask a few questions, ask people around you, people you trust who have your best interest at heart. What do they think you're good at? What's your natural aptitude? What gives you energy? Keep an energy journal. And you'll find that as you reflect on it, there are things there that give you so much meaning that there is no question that this is why you're on this planet.
Where you find your joy. Last question. This question speaks to how do you pick your mentor? Should my mentor be knowledgeable or be in the same line as my identified passion or purpose? So do you want a mentor, that does what you do, or should it be someone who just shares your purpose or passion? Anyone take on that?
Okay, I could answer.
Thank you.
So a mentor is somebody who uses their wisdom to guide you. So they have nuggets and they have different options with which you can look to a problem and guide you. I think we need to differentiate it. Then there's somebody called a sponsor. A sponsor is somebody in your company who literally is your cheerleader, bangs the table on you at ESCO and stuff like that. You need that one too. And then you have also the coach, right? So it's a person who kind of asks critical questions, helps you unlock your potential. That's what we do. Me and Kanye do. We try to unlock people's potential. If you think you can perform better, that's where you are. So now the mentor is a person who doesn't necessarily need to be a subject matter expert, but is a person who looks at things critically. I said I gave an example of 3 reasons for a mentor. Number 1, you need a mentor who can network, you can tap into that network, they can connect you. That's a role for a mentor. Number 2, you need a mentor who can cheerlead you. You need somebody who's going to sing and praise you and give you the confidence and the spirit to actually do things. Number 3, you need a person who can actually critically look at the problem, meaning really look at the problem in the different dimensions and ask you, is it the right question? Is it the right, are you making the right decision? Have you considered X, Y, Z? Should this person be one person? I disagree. Generally, it could be 3 people, it could be 10 people. They would all play the part. So no, I don't think you need to be subject matter expert, except your manager, who probably should, because even a coach doesn't need to be a subject matter expert.
Okay, thank you, Dawn. We managed to get through all of the Q&A. Okay, no, sorry. Quick one. Where can I contact the coaches, Dawn and Kanye? If we
hook up, DM.
I think if you check their LinkedIn pages, there's Dawn Mukosa, and on LinkedIn will probably be an easy one. Or if you send us an email, the info at Let's Connect email, we will be able to connect you. So please, okay, Zulu, we'll send you the contacts. There is something, but we have definitely gone over time. Thank you, Dawn, and thank you, Kanye. Again, I feel like we've met our purpose with this session. We have our ethos or our aim, and what we try to do is, impact, support people, digital coaching, and I feel like you guys have gone over and beyond, and we appreciate the session. We will be celebrating 2 years of this wonderful session next month, sorry. Again, thank you guys for staying on. We've gone over time, but you guys are still here with us. Thank you, we appreciate it. And yeah, we look forward to our next session. Thank you, Kanye. Thank you, Dawn. And thank you, Toa, behind the scenes.
Can I have last word of advice to people who are still here? My last word of advice is this: be different to make a difference. Just go and think about that.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys, for joining us. Follow us on our socials. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. We're live. So please, Let's Connect Web Series is our handle.
And
We
please
look
send
forward to
DMs.
hosting you.
Yes, and please send DMs on any of those platforms. We'll be happy to respond and share. Like more questions came up. Please send contacts in the chat. Thanks. Can you put your contacts in the chat?
I did.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.